Hey, this is AJ. Welcome back to the Handyman process. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the simplest, easiest way to manage money for your small business, whether it's a handyman business, plumber business, electrician, no matter what. If you're running a small business and want a simple, easy way to manage the money, I'm going to walk you through probably the easiest, simplest, and least expensive. This system is free for you to use to manage your money, so stay tuned. Okay, so what you're looking at in the background here of this screen is something called Novo, N-O-V-O, novo.co. And what this is what they call a fintech company, a financial technology company. And the purpose of these financial technology companies or fintech companies is to add a technology layer, an interface layer to generally traditional banks. So this bank is a bank based out of, I think it's Green Dot Bank, based out of Boston or Massachusetts area. But Novo has come along and said, you know what, you want some more money in your bank? Let us give you a smoother, cleaner interface. And that's what Novo and some other competing brands that are out there, Ally, a few other banks. If you use something different than Novo, go ahead and drop a comment down below. There's a bunch of different banks that do this. I've just been using Novo, been happy with it, so that's what I'm going to talk about today. But the concepts are the same no matter what kind of bank you go into. So let's talk about, what are the benefits of that financial technology layer. First of all, it gives you a tremendous more amount more of insight into your money. Like if you've been using a credit union or traditional bank, it's basically very limited in what you can see. Right? You see money coming in, you see money going out. Most of the times, you won't have the ability to tag things, to add pictures, receipts, to categorize things, which limits you, and it becomes a big pain in the butt, primarily at the end of the year when taxes come up. So, with that being said, let me touch on a point. There's two main reasons why you want to manage your money in some systematic form, and especially the format I'm going to show you today. One of them is to know where you are at all times, money wise, cash flow wise, profit and loss, income statement. Where are you sitting financially? Can you make this next move? Do you have enough money in the bank? Right? That's day to day, week to week, month to month. You kind of need to know what your numbers are. And then part two is at the end of the year, you have to file taxes. And it's basically at the end of the year a summary of where you spent all your money, and then you have to put it into your tax forms. And I have videos on kind of how this ties into your taxes at the end of the year. And with that being said, let me just make a qualifying statement. Um, this is primarily for people who are sole proprietors or single member LLCs, small operations. If you're doing something a little bit more elaborate, some of what I'm going to tell you today may apply, and some may not. But I'm primarily talking to sole proprietors, single member LLCs being taxed as sole proprietors. All right. So with that being said, let's dive a little bit into this. Right. There's tons of videos on what Novo is that you can kind of go see the different layers of it. So I'm going to kind of touch the wave tops, and I'm going to tell you from a practical business perspective how I use it and the way that I use it. Before I get into that too, I'm gonna mention some things. I within Novo, um, I run what's known as the Profit First system. So if you're not familiar with the Profit First system, I would recommend checking this book out. The summary, the cliff notes of the book is basically whenever a dollar comes in, put it into certain categories of where those dollars will be allocated. And some of those categories could be profit or owner compensation. And then when you need to use money, make sure you're pulling them from those categories. So let me expand upon that a little bit. So one of the cool things about Novo here is if I click on this little reserves tab, what's going to pop open is I've predetermined for every dollar that comes in, I said I want some to go to what I call operating expenses. I want some to go to owner compensation, the money that I'm going to pay myself, and I want some set aside for taxes. I used to have other categories in here. I think you can have up to like 20 something, or yeah, up to 20 reserves. I used to have a separate profit category, but um, for me, the way that I run business, profits all kind of captured in owner compensation. But you can set them up any way that you want, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. If you want one set aside for a new truck, you can do that, right? So if you want to be disciplined in saving money, that's not the cool part. The cool part is you can set up the percentages, right? So in this case, you see operating expenses, I have 30%, owner compensation 60%, taxes 10%. That means for every dollar that comes in, 30 cents is going into this account, 60 cents into that account, and 10 cents into that account. And that's powerful because I never touch this account. It's a tax account every 3 months or a quarterly basis. Whatever's in here, I just made a tax payment recently. That's why it's low. I go in. If this was a slow 3 month period, I would take 84.65 out, and I would go pay the IRS for my quarterly estimated taxes with that. Same thing for my paying myself. I pay myself whenever I want to, right? I just recently paid myself $1,500. So that's why this number dropped down. But what I do is when I send myself money, I just go in, I say, where do I want the money to come from? Owner compensation, and then I send it to myself. And when I say I send it to myself, what I'm saying is I'm taking it out of my business account and sending it over to my personal account. And then this one, the operating expenses, this is where the lion's share of work is being done with the money. I am constantly going out and buying bits and pieces for whatever jobs that I'm doing, whether it's wood, fasteners, tools, whatever it may be, paying my software bills. I'm using this operating expense account. This will make a little bit more sense in a minute when I get in there and kind of talk a little bit about how I'm tagging these types of things. But I wanted to mention that as I go through this system of using reserves is straight pulled from that Profit First. So go ahead and check out Profit First, or if you don't want to read the book, just Google Profit First video, get the wave tops. To me, it's a very intuitive and simple system to understand. So I love running that Profit First system. Okay. With that being said, let's start to dive a little bit further into the money and what things look like. So first of all, I'm on my dashboard here, and at the bottom of the dashboard, I can come down here and I can configure and customize my dashboard. You'll see a couple things. I can see all the expenses that I have. I can see where my money is in the reserves. I can pull up a profit and loss statement. However, I kind of want to see it. And I'm showing you the web version right now just because it's easier to make a video, but usually I'm doing all the stuff on my phone, and it's super simple on my phone to kind of do this on a daily basis. So let me walk you through my process kind of on a day-to-day basis, what's happening and what's going on. So as you see here right now, I have $604 in my business account. I'm showing an available balance of negative $178.75, and then $783 of total reserves, right? So the reserves are those three categories I just talked about, minus whatever I haven't categorized yet. And you may be thinking, what do you mean? What are you talking about categorizing? So let me give you an example. So of this 178.75, I just made a payment, right? This morning, I use a CRM system to manage my business called Markate, and I paid every year around Christmas time, I send out postcards. So I went into Markate, I created a bunch of postcards, and I got this bill for $118. Actually, you see this hold on it? That means money hasn't cleared yet, so I can't show you exactly what's going on with this until that clears. But let me give you a different example. I think it was yesterday. I went in here and I bought something from forgedair.co. And what it was is like a respirator mask combination, right? It's the end of the year. There's certain things I need. I'm trying to get some tax write-offs. So I went in there yesterday and I bought something for about 75 bucks, this mask combo system. So the cool things about this, right, is first of all, it shows me that it got posted, when it got posted, where the company is, what card I use, what reserve it got paid from. In this case, it showed, actually, I put this in here as an example. So I had an originally an owner compensation, but I wanted to show you that when a when an expense first comes in, it's waiting for it to be tagged. So in this case, I'm going to change it from owner compensation over to operating expense because that's where it should be. I'm going to hit this assign transaction button, and it's going to assign the transaction uh, to my operating expense category, and then it's a done deal. In addition to that, so that's cool thing one, right? Because now when I go back to my reserves, I can see, okay, my operating expenses have come down a little bit because of this mask that I bought. Now let's go into the second piece, right? And the second piece is, okay, well, I need to categorize this. And why do I need to categorize this? For a few reasons, right? It's nice to have insight into where your money's going, but more importantly, the IRS tells you you have to categorize things. So if I hit on this category button down here, all the different categories where I can put that money come into play here, right? So I have most of my money's in cost of goods sold of things that I'm buying for people. In this case, I'm buying like a tool or a piece of equipment, and I bookmark that in other expenses. It's just at the end of the year when I fill out my taxes, all that kind of stuff gets put there. But as I'm scrolling through here, you can start to see things. Okay, if it's an insurance bill, it's going there. If I went did an office meal, it's there. If I had office expenses, if I'm taking money out to pay myself, it's called an owner draw. I'm doing an owner drawer, so on and so on. The whole line goes down here, right? The cool thing is you do this every transaction, or if you have somebody in your team doing this for you every transaction, then you're just bookmarking things, right? You're doing it, you're forgetting about it. Then the final piece is if you wanted to add a receipt, you can hit the button here. Again, I do this in my phone. So I open up my phone. Uh, in this particular case, I think it'll pop up. Yeah. So I basically took a snapshot of the receipts from my phone. And just a little tip, the way that I do this is once I see, okay, 74.99 hit my account, all of my receipts automatically go to my email. So I go to my email, I go to Gmail, I just type in 74.99, boom, the email with that receipt pops up. I open it up, I screenshot it, I save it, and now I have a full audit trail, right? If the IRS ever came and said, hey, prove that you went to this thing and you got this thing, right? Here you go, everything's right there. So if you do that for every transaction throughout the year, your books are clean, right? This is bookkeeping. This is bookkeeping 101. This is, if you have a bookkeeper, this is the kind of stuff they're doing. They're tagging that stuff. So at the end of the year, you can have this system set up for you. A lot of people use QuickBooks for this and other types of tools. I tried that in the past, but this is so simple. It's a no-brainer for me. I will throw one caveat out there that I don't use credit cards. I use one debit card. Right? I have a debit card, a Novo debit cards. Everything goes off of that. Novo recently introduced where you can link credit cards. So if you're using several different credit cards to get points or whatever, you can bring those transactions in and manage them that way. But to me, I just found it easier to just use a debit card to do what I need to do. It also keeps me humble, right? I don't go into debt, and it's pretty straightforward. So that's what the transactions look like, and that kind of how to categorize them. It's pretty straightforward. So hopefully, kind of what I've shown you so far looks pretty good. If so, give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you have questions or you want me to dive further into something. If I don't cover it in the rest of the video, then go ahead and again drop the video down. But now let's walk a little bit behind the scenes and start to see the bigger picture. Let's unwrap this thing and see what's happening, what's going on. So as I come over here to my activity tab, I start to see just a more detailed breakout of all the transactions that I had. We just did this forged arrow one. And as I scroll down, you start to see, okay, these things are being marked in these different types of categories. Let's look at this Squarespace one, for example. So I have it marked in advertising and marketing. So every month I pay a domain fee for my website from Squarespace, right? So if I go in there, it'll pop up there, and oh, it's not going to do it. What I wanted to show you is they recently added an AI feature. So if you have a brand new um, transaction, it doesn't know unless you've predefined. It doesn't know where to bookmark it. So what happens is it prompts you, right? It's going to say, hey, where do you want to bookmark this? And let's say it was Lowe's, right? And I always bookmark things from Lowe's and cost of goods sold. So once I do that with this AI feature, what happens is it says, well, okay, every time I see Lowe's, you want me to automatically put it in cost of goods sold? And you say, yeah, that's great. So now half the transactions, I'm not even categorizing. It's just automatically putting it in that bucket. And you can set up all these rules. You go down here to the settings, you'll kind of see those rules. Or when you click in a new transaction, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. But it's super simple, super easy. It's kind of a no-brainer. Now, let's dive a little bit further in. Okay, so I got all this stuff. Great. If you like looking at spreadsheets, that's fine. But most people like looking at charts and dashboards. So over here, you start to see a summary. This is the last 30 days of where all my money's gone, right? Cost of goods sold is 31% of where my money's going, followed by software, so on and so on. But we're in December right now, and I kind of want to see what I'm looking at for the end of the year. So if I click on this little thing up here, this 30 days, I'm just going to go year to date, and I'm going to take a look at what's going on, right? So now I start to see, okay, well, actually, most of the money came out to me. I paid myself $8,700 this year, off of $21,000 of revenue. And if you're new to this channel, you're like, man, that guy doesn't make anything. I'm a part-time guy, right? I work a couple hours or a couple days a month, maybe a few more, depends on what time of year it is. So this is a side hustle for me for right now. I work a full-time job. My intent is at some point I'll retire from my full-time job and move over to Handyman, and all my stuff is just ready to go, right? So but if you're like, hey, man, this guy doesn't make any money, I don't, in terms of what some other people are making, but I also don't work as many hours as they do. So take that for what it's worth. Anyway, as you can start to see, I can come in here and I can see where the owner drawers are, the cost of goods sold, where kind of basically where all my money's going. I can come over here and I can further break it down so I can start to see, okay, I'm paying myself kind of what I'm expecting to pay myself. And I look at this one like software and software subscriptions, man, that's a lot of money, right? Well, that's my CRM every month. That's my mileage tracker. I've been developing a few apps and doing a few other things. That's why I got a lot of money in there. And then advertising and marketing, some domain fees. I forget what else I actually. We can just take a quick look. So if I click on that, right? You start to see, okay, I got Squarespace. I actually have several domains that I own and run and pay out of this account. I got some Google, my email account is a Google Workspace, so I pay for that every month. Google Play, storage fees, on and on and on. So it's cool. Like you can dive into it and start to see, okay, where's all my money going? And then as a business owner, you should be saying, man, how do I reduce this, right? How do I consolidate this? A good example in the software area is I was using a software called JotForm, and then they had a Black Friday sale, which basically saved me 80% off of what I was paying. So next year that'll go down. Same thing for all my other expenses as I go down the line here. Real easy, real simple to kind of see where all my money's going. So that's fantastic. Any time of the year, you can see that. And then the second piece of this is at the end of the year, when you fill out your taxes, like I mentioned earlier, I have videos on how this gets connected into your Schedule C when you fill out your tax forms. But essentially, what you're doing is you're going, okay, how much did you spend? How much money did you make, right? You go in, you go back and look at your revenue number and say, okay, how much did you spend on cost of goods sold? You're just going to copy and paste this into your tax stuff. How much did you spend on software? Copy and paste. All the way down the line, and using that methodology, you're going to do 90 something percent of your tax return for your business. There's some other things you got to do, like mileage and some other stuff that isn't tracked into here. But this is the hard part. This is the part that you're going to pay your accountant hundreds and hundreds of dollars to do for you, that I'm showing you that you can do very simply, very cleanly by yourself. Or if you want to give it to your accountant, just print this thing out. I think, yeah, download PDF and give it to him, and he's going to go, man, that's great. You better tell him, hey, give me a discount because I know I made your life a heck of a lot easier. So that's a little bit about the expenses stuff. And then the last thing I kind of want to show you here is this profit and loss, right? So what this is showing me every month, how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, what the lines are looking like. You see a net income of negative $1,000. Basically, I took out more money this year in terms of paying myself and other things than I brought in. The reason it's negative and I'm not broke is I had cash sitting in the account um, prior to that, right? So it's just looking at January 1st to current date. But if I jump in here, hit the see more button, you're basically going to get a profit and loss statement. This is what people normally pay a bookkeeper and accountant to generate for them. And I'm showing you that this Novo system generated it for you. Piece of cake, easy day. Um, so if you're especially a new member just starting out, hopefully you're going to grow, right? Hopefully, you're probably not like me, right? You're probably not going to part-time guy. It's going to stay part-time for a while. You're probably like hungry to get after it. So even if you start off with this for a year or two, your understanding of the accounting, the mechanics behind all this stuff will be so good so that if you do start to grow and you have somebody else doing this work for you, you understand it, right? Because Novo made it super easy for you to understand it, and you paid your dues by going through a couple of years of doing it. So I'm encouraging you or empowering you to go ahead and mess with it, right? Try it out, right? If you're like, man, I don't know, do a little bit, right? Do a little bit of your business in this system and kind of see how you like it, how it works. I think it's fantastic. I can't live without it at this point. So that's kind of how I do my money in a nutshell. I'll probably create a video for my taxes at the end of this year. You'll see I'll probably end the year. I got a couple of account receivables coming in. I don't know, probably like $26,000. I think I'll end up this year. But this is super, super easy, super simple. So if you're interested in this kind of system, they got a great offer going on right now. If you use the link that I'm going to put down below, just for signing up, and I think you have to deposit $100 to get started. They're going to put $100 in your account. You're going to get a 100% return on signing up for an account. No strings attached, no nothing. If you use the link that I have below, I'm also going to get $100 in my account. So I appreciate that if you want to do that. Or if you know somebody else who runs Novo, go ahead and give them. You make sure you're using somebody's referral account, because this is another great thing is after you start using this, if you love it, if you feel as good about it as I do, you're going to want to refer other people to it as well, because Novo doesn't advertise. They don't go out. They're not on all social media platforms. It's kind of a grassroots movement. But anyway, this is kind of in a nutshell what I do, how I do it, how I manage money. I think it's very simple, very easy. I encourage you to try it out. If you have any thoughts, ideas, or questions along the way, let me know. There's a couple things I didn't mention that I will briefly here, but I have other videos on my channel that go over this. Is the majority of my money that I do for my business is coming in two forms. The highest percent, probably 90%, is coming in via credit card payments. So I have, if I went back to my home screen here, I have an integration with Square. Square is a credit card processor. It's free to get the software, but you have to pay a cut of the money. So if somebody pays you $1, you got to Square automatically takes like three cents out of that dollar to pay for their business. So I have Square connected to Novo, and I have Square connected to Mark8, my CRM. So when my CRM sends out an invoice via text email to my client, the client pays it with the credit card. Square transfers that money into Novo for me, minus the cut that they take. So that's the primary integration that I use. And if you go down here to the apps button, there's a couple other integrations you can use. The second one are checks. So I get checks every once in a while. And then on my phone, I open up Novo. I open up I think it's send money button or add money button. Let's see. So I do this on the phone. I think it's send money on the app, and then there's a thing to actually it's probably add money. Sorry, I shouldn't be thinking and talking while I'm at here. No, again, my apologies. I do this on the phone all the time. So somewhere on there, there's a place for you to deposit a check. Trust me, it's super easy. Take a picture of the front, take a picture of the back. You sign, for deposit Novo only, and it's a done deal. And then you go ahead and drop it in your paperwork box, and you're done. So with that being said, I hope you guys like it. If you're getting value out of these videos, go ahead and let me know by giving me a thumbs up, share, drop a comment down below. I love hearing feedback from people, especially if they use this stuff and it's changing their business. I get a great sense of satisfaction out of that. So appreciate it. If I don't see you before Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I'll catch you on the flip side.